Hello there! If you are looking for a card game that feels fast and deeply strategic, you are in the right place. Today we dive in headfirst into Star Wars Unlimited, the trading card game from Fantasy Flight Games that has taken the tabletop community by storm. Whether you are a veteran TCG player coming from Magic, the Gathering, or Yu-Gi-Oh!, or a massive Star Wars fan who has never touched a customizable card game before, this video is your ultimate beginner's guide. We are going to break down every single component, explain how to read the cards, and walk through the core mechanics so you can play your very first match with absolute confidence. Before we talk about how to play, we need to understand what we are playing with. A standard game of Star Wars Unlimited is a head-to-head duel between two players. Each player brings a deck of about 60 cards, but your play area is defined by two additional cards that start the game with right on the table: your leader and your base. Your Vergis represents the location you are defending, like Lothal, Jedha, or Coruscant. It doesn't attack, but it has a health value, usually about 30 hit points, and sometimes an ability. The golden rule of the game is simple: if your opponent reduces your base to 0 health, you lose. Next to your base sits your leader. This is the heart and soul of your deck. Iconic characters like Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, or Sabine Wren. Your leader starts the game in the home base zone as an horizontal card. They provide a passive ability you can use every round, but later in the game, once you meet specific conditions, your leader can deploy onto the battlefield as a powerful unit to fight directly. Now, let's look closely at the cards you will be drawing for your deck. There are three main card types you need to know: units, events, and upgrades. Let's break down for a standard unit card so you know exactly what you're looking at. In the top left corner, this is the resource cost. This number tells you how many face-down resources you must ready or tilt sideways to play this card. The icons below the cost, these are the aspect symbols. There are 6 aspects in the game: Vigilance, blue; Command, green; Aggression, red; Cunning, yellow; Heroism, white; and Villainy, black. Your leader and base determine which aspects you can play safely. If you try to play a card that doesn't match your deck's aspects, you have to play an extra aspect penalty, 2 resources for each missing symbol. The center left numbers. On a unit card, you will see a red icon and a blue icon. The red icon with a number is the unit's power, how much damage it heals. The blue icon is its HP or health, how much damage it can take before being defeated. The trade and text box. At the bottom, you will find traits like Rebel Imperious Vehicles or Trooper. These don't do anything by themselves, but other cards interact with them. Below that is the ability text, which gives the unit its unit's perks like Ambush or Shielded. Now that we know about the cards, how does the game actually flow? A game of Star Wars Unlimited is played over a series of rounds, and each round is divided into just 2 phases: the action phase and the regroup phase. Let's talk about the action phase first, because this is where the magic happens. Unlike traditional games where one player takes their entire turn while others sit and watches, Star Wars Unlimited use alternating actions. I take one single action, you take on one single action, going back and forth until both players choose pass. When it's your turn to take an action, you have 5 choices: play a card, pay the resource cost, put a unit on the field, trigger an event, or attach an upgrade. Attack with a unit. Choose one of your ready units, exhaust it, turn it sideways, and declare an attack against an enemy unit or the enemy base. Use an action ability. Some cards on the field have a text that starts with the word action. You can spare your action and trigger this. Take the initiative. If you want to go first in the next round, you can spend your action to claim the initiative token. Once you do this, you cannot take any more actions for the rest of the current phase. Pass. If you have nothing else to do, you can pass. If your opponent passes immediately after you, the action phase ends. Once the action phase is over, we move to the regroup phase. This is the cleanup and setup set. Both players simultaneously do 3 things. First, you draw 2 cards from your decks. Second, you might choose one card from your hand and place face it down into your resource pool. It's completely optional, but highly recommend in the early game. Third, you ready all of your cards, meaning you turn your exhausted units and resource vertically, so they're ready to fight the next round. Now, let's talk about how the mechanics truly sets Star Wars Unlimited apart from almost every other TCG, the twin battlefields. When you play a unit, it doesn't just go on a generic battlefield. It must be deployed into either the ground arena or the space arena. Characters like Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, and speeder bikes go to the ground. Starfighters like the TIE Fighters and X-Wings go to space. Here's the twist. Ground units cannot attack space units, and space units cannot attack ground units. They live in completely separate worlds. However, both arenas can attack the enemy base. This creates an incredible tactical tug of war. You might be absolutely dominating the ground arena with massive tanks, but your opponent has a fleet of starfighters completely uncontested in the space arena. They can bypass your enemy army and melt your base directly. You have to maintain a balance or commit to a racing strategy to destroy their base before they destroy yours. Let's zoom in on how combat works because it handles damage in a very realistic, brutal way. When you attack an enemy unit, both units deals damage to each other at the exact same time. If my unit has a 3 power and 4 health, and I attack your unit which has 2 powers and 3 health, we compare the numbers. My unit deals 3 damage to yours, which matches its health, so your unit is defeated. At the exact same moment, your unit deals 2 damage to mine. My unit survives, but it carries 2 permanent damage counters into the next turn. Damage does not heal on the end of the turn. To check up combat, look out for keywords on your card. Here are 3 crucial ones for beginners. Sentinel. Units with Sentinel has a protective wall. If an enemy wants to attack your base or a non-Sentinel unit in the arena, the unit must attack your Sentinel unit first. Saboteur. These units completely ignore Sentinel shields and bypass them entirely by declaring attacks. Restore. When a unit with Restore attacks, it heals your base for a specific amount of health, keeping you alive just a little bit longer. And that is the core foundation of Star Wars Unlimited. It is a game of constant interaction, where reading your opponent's single actions and managing your forces across ground and space is the key to victory. The rules are easily to learn, but the strategic depth is virtually limitless. Thank you very much.